Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Oh my gosh, it's so cold outside. It is currently 10:40 p.m. on this Sunday evening going into Monday morning. It is currently 22 degrees outside, but it feels much colder than that. It actually feels colder than it was yesterday or the day before when it was like 10 degrees colder. It's so cold outside. And I just got done watching, well actually I just posted yesterday's vlog. I was waiting for it to upload, and I just got done watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with Alex, and then we were watching Watch What Happens Live, and it was almost over, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go and vlog now, and then I am gonna vlog, and then I'm gonna meet my good Judy Ballerini at the casino, and we haven't been together for a while, so I'm real excited to see her and to go up there and win, lots of money. I'm real excited. So, play the penny slots, win lots of money. That's what we're gonna do tonight. Have a little fountain pop while I'm sitting there and talk to my good Judy. And we'll get bonus after bonus after bonus, and we're gonna hit all the majors and the grands, and we're gonna come home with lots of money. Put it out there to the universe tonight. You guys, I know that the heat is really loud right now, but it is so cold in this car. So I'm just gonna have to like crank it real good. Remember that song by Salt and Pepper? Push it real good. Dun 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 dun. Anyway, hi, how are you doing today? You're like, Peter is energetic tonight. I am. I have my Diet Coke with me right here. We had a good day today. So let me tell you, on the heels of receiving a comment, I do not know who left this comment last night on the video, but maybe it was the day before, I don't know, but somebody was telling me that I should at least watch the first episode of Euphoria and give it a try, because it was very similar to 13 Reasons Why, or it wasn't. They said it wasn't any darker than 13 Reasons Why, and that it dealt a lot with addiction, and I can't remember what they said, but anyway, so they were like, you really should give it a try. So I was like, okay, enough people have told me to try and watch Euphoria, so I was like, I'm gonna watch this show and see what I think. So last night, when I got done vlogging, was it last night when I got done vlogging? Yeah. Oh, I listened to the end of, I was going to listen to like a half an hour of the audiobook and then some of the podcasts, but I ended up listening to like 5 minutes of my audiobook and then like 15 minutes of the podcast, and then I went home. My eyes were starting to get tired, and I watched the newest episode. I think it's the fourth or fifth episode of Single Drunk Female. So good. I love that show. It's like my new favorite show. Watch that one. It was an episode about St. Patrick's Day. I have to say it's interesting. Like, I mean, I always, you know, of the years that I was able to go out to a bar and drink on St. Patrick's Day before I got sober, I did. But I don't remember, like, really struggling. I haven't really had issues with St. Patrick's Day and other people drinking, like me wanting to drink, like that's not been an issue. I will tell you that there were a couple years that Alex and I used to go to this tent party with our friends. I think I've talked about that when I've talked about there are just some places that I don't need to be as a recovering alcoholic. And I would go to these tent parties while everybody was just getting completely smashed on green beer, and like I think maybe I just went 1 year, and then the next year I just was like, Alex went with some friends, and then I came and picked him up when he was ready to come home. I just was like, you know what, I'm not about that. Oh, actually, our first St. Patrick's together, we were in Florida. I just talked about that not too long ago. We were down there in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and we did go out for St. Patrick's Day that year. And then maybe the year after was when we did the first tent party. Alex used to always go out for St. Patrick's Day. He used to always go to this tent party with our friends and stuff like that, and I just realized it was something that I didn't need to do. And but I don't remember him ever getting like Well, the Fort Lauderdale thing, that's a completely different story, and I talked about that on here. But, like, going to the tent party, I don't remember him getting, like, really smashed. I remember him, like, going and having, like, a couple beers and then coming home, you know? Anyway, so it was interesting that they addressed that and how hard it was to be around all that. It was really about her having kind of, like, you know, FOMO, fear of missing out, and missing out on the fact that all of her friends were going to this Irish bar and drinking and stuff like that. I don't know, that just, for me, I mean, I drank so much every day anyway, it wasn't like I needed an excuse like St. Patrick's Day to drink, so, but I will tell you what I loved about this episode was that it talked a lot about leaning on people for help in sobriety and the importance of fellowship, which is like having friends in recovery and having, we talk about a support network, and I think people often think I mean by that like a support group. And what I mean by that is like friends that you make in recovery that you can call and say, like, I don't want to be alone, or I'm really struggling, or hey, do you want to go do something so I can get out of the house? Like all of that, you know. And I think, you know, and as you get older, it's like developing friends in sobriety and going on trips with them and going out to dinner with them and, you know, going on double dates with them and getting to know their families. And all of that is so important to me, I have to say. Other than, you know, not picking up a drink or a drug one day at a time, the fellowship has probably been, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, you know. The steps have been invaluable to me, and so it's like, I really can't compare them, but had I not had friends in sobriety, I don't know that I would be here today, because there's an accountability factor. And it's also, you know, I didn't feel alone. And, you know, for my first year or so, I didn't really have, you know, I have my friend that when I first got sober, but she ended up moving away to go to graduate school. And so until I met Tanya, there was that period that I didn't really have really close friends in sobriety, you know? I mean, there were people that I knew from meetings and stuff. And I did go out with, like, my first sponsor to dinner and things like that. But, like really good friends, like, no, I didn't. And kind of at the beginning, like, after my mom got sober, I kind of leaned on that a little bit, too. Although she and I never went to meetings together or anything. That was kind of a rule that we made from the very beginning, was that we were never going to go to the same meetings together, because we wanted to be able to share whatever we needed to share without that other person being there worrying about it. It's so weird how when I sit down to vlog, it's like where my vlogs go and what I'm thinking of is never what I thought was going to happen. Like, if it hadn't been so cold in the car, I was going to start my vlog by reading Joelle's poem, because Joelle posted one of her poems on the Vloggerino's Facebook page. And I haven't read it yet, so I thought, okay, I'm going to read it live on camera, because I think it's so cool that she posted it and shared it with all of us. So I hope, Joelle, that you're cool with that. I'm sure she will be. And so it's so funny, because that's what I was going to talk about. And here I am talking about all this sobriety stuff. Yeah, so, but I watched that show last night, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to start Euphoria, and it was real late already. And I really, to be honest with you, I thought I would be like 10 or 15 minutes into Euphoria, and I thought I'd be like, okay, I'm not into this show at all. But I started watching it, and I was like, I mean, it is, like, it's fallen down the rabbit hole with that show, I will say that. I'm like halfway through the second episode. Today at brunch, I told Alex, I said, I'm kind of surprised you haven't watched Euphoria, because it's kind of like the kind of shows that he likes. And he was like, I mean, he's, you know, for years watched like Pretty Little Liars and, you know, Gossip Girl. But this is like so much like more real and dark than those shows. And he was like, well, I've been wanting to watch it since the first season came out. I just haven't watched it. And so today he watched like 4 or 5 episodes. Well, had watched 4. And then we watched Housewives, and he's getting ready to watch the 5th episode, and then he's going to bed. But he really liked it. I will say this. It's interesting to me that I feel like there are a lot of really young people talking about this show, because and I'm not big into censorship, but I would be, I don't know that I would be comfortable with, you know, maybe older teenagers, but I would not be comfortable with my younger child watching this show at all. I don't have one, but it's a lot. And it's like in your face a lot. And like if your child's gonna watch it, I think it's one of those shows that you need to watch with your child and have the conversations, because, and they are uncomfortable conversations that you would have to have. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this show. For me, the biggest piece is the drug stuff. And I have to tell you that in my experience, and even though I haven't used in 27 years, it's not like I don't hear stories of people that just went out or just were out using a week ago. It is very, very true to what is going on right there in the world right now, substance-wise. I feel like they absolutely 100% nailed it. Number two, I feel like the dialogue, even though all these actors and actresses are in their 20s, I feel like the dialogue is very accurate to the dialogue that teenagers have today. And third, I've only seen the first part in the first episode where she's talking about treatment, but Zendaya's character, it's Zendaya, right? She goes to treatment. I have to say, it's so weird. Like, the part where she gets her coin and they're standing in all of that was like, oh my God, it was like, you could literally have taken a video of like when I worked in treatment, and that's what it was like. In fact, they do this, they don't say that it's an exercise, but they show her in this church, and she's walking towards this casket, and when you get to the casket, it has a mirror up, so you can see your face in the mirror. And it was so weird because we used to do that exercise when I worked in treatment. Now, we didn't have a fancy, like, they have a real casket with like a mirror inside of it and everything like that, and they're in a church. We didn't have all that, but we would do that in the auditorium, and we would have like a box covered with like a blanket. And like, I can remember this one time, like, having a patient like have to sit there and watch while like their parents spoke, and it was such a moving experience. My supervisor was the one that came up with that idea, and I think she had read it or heard about it somewhere. I don't know what it's called, but it's called something. But it's basically where you imagine your own death from an overdose, and it's a super powerful experiment, or if done right. And so it was interesting seeing that in the movie as well, and but done a little bit different. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a hard show to not want to continue to watch, because you want to find out what's going to happen. But it's also just tons and tons of partying and just a lot. It's a very, very dark show. I'm trying to think of a show that I really had a hard time watching. 13 Reasons Why, there were a lot of things in that show that were hard for me to watch because they echoed my own experience in high school. So it was kind of like reliving things watching it. But there was another show that I can't remember what it was. I just was like, I probably talked about it on here when I was watching it, but I just was like, this is really difficult for me to watch. I can't remember what it was. What's interesting to me is, like, before watching this show, I don't know what I thought. I guess I kind of thought that, well, really, to be honest with you, I thought it was futuristic. I didn't know I had really no idea what it was about whatsoever. And, oh, also, I will say this, the way that Zendaya's character, Rue, gets hooked on drugs, well, I'm just going to have to say it. It doesn't really ruin it. It's in the first episode, I think. But her dad is sick and dying of cancer, and she starts taking Oxycontin. That is so true. You hear that in the rooms of recovery all the time. You hear that all the time. Like, somebody got started on Oxys because their grandma had cancer and they were stealing their Oxys or something like that. I mean, you hear that all the time. So I thought that was really interesting that they put that storyline in there. So, I don't know. They must have addicts writing on the show. I tried to clean my back window, but that's what you get. There was something I was going to say. I can't remember what it was. I will say this. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Before I watched it, I thought that it would be futuristic. I don't know, just by seeing like the pictures of the posters and stuff, because I hadn't seen any trailers or anything. But one of the things that's interesting to me is, and I don't know what the second season is like or what happens on the rest of the first season, but it is so dark. And the perception that I get from people talking about it online is that it's like the greatest show in the end. It's like it's glamorized or something. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but this show is not glamorous to me. I mean, maybe it's because I live it. So I see people, and I see young people come in and out of the rooms of recovery all the time. And I mean, it's often that you'll see some young lady come who, let's say, is 18 years old, and she'll come to 3 to 4 meetings, and then somebody will come to the meeting and they'll say, you know, I just wanted to let you guys know that my friend so-and-so passed away from an overdose. I mean, you hear it all the time, right? So there's nothing glamorous about this show. Like, I don't understand. Maybe later, I don't know, does she clean up her act? I have no idea. So maybe it gets out of all of that, but like right now, it's not there. So I don't know what's gonna happen with it, but it's just very sad and stuff like that. The other thing I will say is there was this movie back in the day. I loved this movie, and it was called Over the Edge. I think it was Matt Dillon's very first movie that he ever did. And what is so interesting to me is, if anybody's ever seen this movie, Over the Edge was about this suburban town in California. And it was when they were starting to build suburbs. And all of the kids were doing drugs and partying. And the parents were like really mad at the school system. Like, what are they going to do about this? And when is the school system going to fix this? And all this kind of stuff. And it was basically about these kids like just running riot all through the streets, running wild is the word I was looking for. But anyway, and just kind of doing whatever they want to do. This show is almost kind of like the main male character almost kind of looks like Matt Dillon to me a little bit. And it was almost kind of like they picked characters that like looked like people in that. I don't know. It's bizarre to me because there's a lot of similarities between this show and that movie Over the Edge. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it before, but it's a messed up movie. And and I actually own a copy of it. I have it down in my basement. It came out, I think, around the same time that the movie Foxes with Jodie Foster came out. Maybe that came out. Foxes came out a couple years later. This also reminds me a lot of the movie Foxes with Jodie Foster back in the day. And there's even a great line in that movie where Jodie Foster's mom is like, you guys think that you're adults, but you're just kids. And there's this whole line about this in there. But anyway, it really reminds me a lot of those two shows. So, but I will say, Euphoria, it's good so far. I don't know how much I'm going to continue to watch. I finally finished that documentary that Tanya told me to finish. You guys, I'm like in a place right now where like I want to watch watching true crime about like the Tinder swindler. That's kind of one thing. It's like, okay, I can watch that. Watching something that I feel so far removed from, that's like something else. But like, I am feeling right now in my life like I kind of go through periods of this where it's like there's too much darkness and then I have to kind of stop. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to continue this show right now. I may need to read some cozy mysteries and, watch some fun shows or something like that, because I just feel like there's a lot of darkness of things that I'm watching and listening to. And so, every once in a while I go through that where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a pause on that and then come back to it. With podcasts and the books and the movies and TV shows and books and podcasts and whatever, it's like a lot. So, I don't know, I may pay a pause on that. So anyway, I went to bed super late last night, and then I got up. We went to brunch today. We had a great brunch. I had my omelet and a bagel and fruit. I didn't bring any of it home today. I ate my omelet and half the bagel and a little bit of the fruit. And I had an orange juice, and I had coffee with banana nut. And Alex had his Cuban breakfast, but they were out of beans, so he just had it without beans. And then he had his turkey chili, and he had a cup of just regular coffee. And our friends, this older couple that always are in there the same time we are. It was so funny because our server came over and she was like, how do you know that couple? And I said, they're here every time that we come in on Sundays. And so one day I just started talking to them. I was like, you guys are always here. And then we become friends with them. So there's this other couple that they're always there at the same time we are. And we've gotten to know them really well. And she was like, oh my God, I absolutely love them. She was like, they come here every day, not just every Sunday. I said, I know, they told us that. They go there every Sunday or every day. And for brunch. So I love it. And they're just super sweet. And they live real close to us too. So anyway, came home from brunch, and then I called Mel, and I talked to Mel for a little bit because we had our book club. And we had the book club today for Bonnie and Clyde, and it was small, but it was a great book club. We had a lot of fun. It was really, really good. And then, what did I do after that? Oh, I got off, and I was like, got off from the live book club, got off the YouNow and the live book club, and I was like wide awake, because usually I'll like take a nap or go listen to an audiobook or something, and I was like wide awake, so I was like, I forgot my ring. I was like, I'm going to film a bunch of videos, and so I filmed 2 drama videos and a Peterisms video. Y'all, I didn't post that Peterisms video. Why do I keep on doing this? Why do I keep on doing this? Hold on a second. Did I post it? Oh, I did post it. Okay. It was actually a really good meditation today. So I filmed that, and then I was waiting forever for the vlog to go up. And, but in all honesty, I didn't even start uploading it until after I got done with the book. I thought I was oh, no. I rendered it while I was doing the book club, and then I started uploading it as soon as I got done. So I knew it was going to go up late. I almost started uploading it on my phone because I thought it would be done quicker that way. So anyway, and then after that, well, Alex was taking a shower while I was doing all the videos and uploading all that kind of stuff. And he was hanging out watching Euphoria with the dogs and stuff. And then when we got it done, he was eating some Fruit Loops down in the living room, and I said, do you want to watch Orange County? And it was like 9:30, and he was like, Alex is so weird about watching a show like when it's not fully recorded, because if it's fully recorded, then you can fast forward, you know. So he was like, well, it's not over yet. And I go, he goes, I said, well, what are you going to turn on? And he goes, Schitt's Creek. And I go, for like the 16th time. He goes, you've only watched it twice all the way through. He goes, really only once. I go, can we just watch Orange County, please? So we started watching it, and he was sweet about it. So anyway, we started watching Orange County, and got through that, then started watching Watch What Happens Live, and now I'm here. So, hi, how are you? And I just happened to be reading the Vloggerino's thing on here, and I saw that Joelle posted one of her poems because I had said something about wanting to read one of her poems, and so I thought, what a great opportunity. Hold on a second here. Oh, I had it all queued up. What is that? I thought, what a great opportunity. Here it is. Well, I really wanted to talk about, hold on a second. First of all, Carissa, I'm sorry, sweetheart, I know that you're having a bad day. She shared in here that she was having a bad day, and I'm really sorry about that. And I hope things start getting better for you. But Carissa had posted the Vloggerino's prompts for February, and I had meant to start it on February 1st. And I didn't do that. So in a second, I'm going to go in here and see if I can find it. This is so funny. Gina found the cream. Well, you can't see it, but Gina found the creamette boxes, the Rotel. Rotel! Don't tell Rotel. Troy is so good for posting all of my videos in here. You are so sweet. I really appreciate the marketing efforts. I should hire him as my marketer. I don't need one, but thank you. So, okay. So here's Joelle's post. She said, hold on just a second. So Joelle said, hold on, let me get to it. Okay. Hi, Vloggerinos. Please delete if not allowed, but Peter was so kind, so kind, and mentioned in his vlog yesterday about me finishing the first draft of my poetry book. And I thought I would share one of the poems that's in the book with you guys. I'm so over the moon. Okay, here's the poem. Hope you all are having a lovely night, and remember to be too much and do what you love and F the rest. Little Miss Sunshine. Love that. Sleeping Boardwalk by Joelle. The darkness deceives as the breeze sweeps through the tall brush of the forest. Refreshing through my hair, I pick up the subtle scent of salt water and the rotten seaweed aroma that it carries. Past the thick trees and brown, crisp farm landscape, orange lights blur in the distance, straddling the ocean, flickering gently in peace. Visions of a hollow boardwalk, breathing heavily in sleep, rocked to sleep in the arms of soft waves. The nightlight of the moon and dim orange keep out nightmares of the day. Exhausted from this laughter of summer, the beauty of this overwhelms me almost with anxiety. Wow. I just love, I get so moved when I like read something that somebody's like taking so much time on or whatever. I just think it's so fantastic. So congratulations to you, Joelle. I love the line. It's exhausted from the laughter of summer. I love that you call it Sleeping Boardwalk too. Exhausted from the laughter of summer. The beauty of this overwhelms me almost with anxiety. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Leslie is posting picture after picture showing us her beauty of the snow. Oh, I love it. Okay, here's day 5. How are we 5 days in already, said Carissa. Today's prompt is, why is self-care so important to you? Well, I feel like I talk about that on my Peterisms video all the time. Let's go on. Okay, hold on a second. What is that? Oh, that is cute. It's these butterfly things that Megan shared. What a cute idea. Repurposing an old fan. Oh, is that an old fan? Ceiling fans, yeah. Okay. Okay, I was reading these comments and then, is it out of focus? I was reading these comments and then I read one that I was like, I don't know that they want me to read that out loud. So, okay. Day 2 of day 14. Weld Love Challenge. Let's have a little fun with this one today. List 5 of your favorite romantic movies. Oh, that's easy. I can do that one. Day 3. Meditate and reflect. Vicky shared this Madonna song, Ray of Light, and I have to say that's like my least favorite Madonna song. Isn't it just so funny how like one person can love something and somebody else can love something else? Isn't that so funny? Okay, day 1, Carissa said, of the Self-Love Challenge. Post your links, videos, posts, and all things under here. Why is it important to love yourself? Well, should we have that conversation? Let's have that conversation while I drive around. Okay. Self-love and romantical movies. That is the topic of conversation. Okay, so why is it important, you might ask, to love yourself? I'm wondering if I should change the battery, because it's already at the halfway mark. And you know what? I don't know. Well, what time is it now? Oh, I've been going for about a half an hour. Okay. Self-love and why is it important? Well, I have learned in life, number 1, that to get to a point where we realize that we are worthy of love or that we are deserving of love is really, really a struggle. And so when people say you must first you have to love yourself first before, you can love somebody else. I think it is also true that we have to love ourselves first before we can receive love from somebody else. Because see, if I don't love myself, and I don't take care of myself, and I don't treat myself like somebody that I would treat that if I loved them, right? Then the reality is that I am not going to allow into my life people that love me. Because why am I going to be under the belief that 1111, make a wish? Why am I going to be under the belief that I am deserving of being around somebody that loves me, or having somebody in my life, if I don't even love myself? If I'm sitting there telling everybody what a piece of crap I am, and that I don't deserve to be loved, and all this kind of stuff, and whatever, then I'm not going to have anybody that cares about me because I'm not going to believe that, right? Number one. Number two, life is way too short to spend our lives. It's so important to deprogram that tape in our head, right? That tells us that we're a piece of crap and we're not worth anything and we're not worthy of love and on and on and on, you know? I think another reason is, I was counting them earlier, but I'm not going to count them anymore. I think the other reason is that life is short. I mean, life is real short. We know that, right? So if we spend our time, I wanted to get to the casino by 12, so I should probably turn around and start heading up there now. But if we spend our time not loving ourselves, then we're wasting valuable time in this world that I'm going to turn around. Oh, I don't want to turn around in there because it looks like a lot of snow. Then we're wasting valuable time that we could be treating ourselves well and whatnot. I also think, you know, here's the thing, that we so often treat those people around us so much better than we would ever treat ourselves, right? And I think that's because we really don't love ourselves, you know, or we think, you know, if you knew me, you wouldn't love me, or this person told me that I wasn't lovable when I was growing up, or these people treated me as if I wasn't lovable when I was growing up, or I've never had anybody that said I love you to me, you know? It was interesting years and years and years ago. I wish I could find, I have this video somewhere on my Peterson's channel, I think, but it was this letter that my dad wrote me on Father's Day, and he was talking about the difference between Father's Day and Mother's Day. And, you know, he said in there something to the effect of, okay, there's so much snow on, like, hooked up on my, what do you call it, on my, next to my tire that you hear when I turn, it does that. But he said, you know, coming from having had a father that never once said, I love you, but I always knew he did. Like, my dad has always been somebody that has said, I love you, you know, he's always said those kinds of things. When I was a little kid, my parents were overwhelming with affection and telling me that. And I honestly think that at some of my darkest points growing up, had I not had that, had I not been surrounded by that, I don't know that I would have made it. I really don't, you know? I think that it's not fair to compare my situation with other people because I had that surrounding me, you know what I mean? So even if everybody else at school and everybody else in the world thought I was a piece of crap, my parents did not. My parents' friends and family members, they all treated me like I was loved and told me that I was loved. And so, you know, that was reiterated with me and I heard that. But I do think there's something about that. It's like, you know, it's like when I hear people comment on my video and they'll say, you know, thank you for saying, if nobody else has told you this, nobody else has told you this today, I love you. When people will say thank you for saying that because I go through the entire day and not one person says they love you to me. And, you know, then it's interesting that we also hold those words so close to our heart. Like when you're in a relationship at the beginning and somebody will say, well, I waited, like my husband said this to me and I thought this was such BS. When they'll say like, well, I wait a year until I tell somebody I love them. So you put a time limit on love? I don't understand that, right? But I think we do the same things with ourselves. You know, when you truly love yourself, when you are able to look at that child that you were in your head or in your heart, and you are able to start treating yourself better, and you're able and willing to start loving yourself like you would treat anybody else that you really, really love or were in love with, you start seeing the world in a completely different way, because what you start doing is setting boundaries and limits with other people. You say, this is what I am willing to tolerate. This is not what I am willing to tolerate. I refuse to have people talk to me this way. I'm not going to allow it. You stop engaging in a lot of petty drama, and your life looks completely different. You get rid of toxicity and negativity in your life, and your life looks completely different. It is the truth. Because all of a sudden, it's like, you know, you buy yourself gifts, you treat yourself right. And I will say, like, in the last year, I shed, because I held on to that for 47, 48 years, this idea of I wasn't lovable. And I really think it was a huge factor in how I interacted with people in the rest of the world. Because I really do think that I believed that, you know? And the last year or two, like, that has really, really changed. And I'll tell you, one of the things that's changed for me is I still buy gifts for people. I love to buy gifts for people. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And make gifts for people and write poems. Like, I'm not the poet that Joelle is, but I love to, like, write poems for people or make my own, you know, little cards or whatever for them. But I'll tell you one thing that it really changed for me, and actually my friend Valerie and Tanya both were really good with this, is that I have started to buy myself things that I wanted as well. Because what I would do is, and I'm not talking about big name things. Yes, some things, but not always. You know, it was if somebody said, okay, like, here's a good example. Somebody commented on a video of mine not too long ago, and they said, oh, it was when I had the Creed in the car, and they said, do you remember a few years ago when you, like, really couldn't afford a bottle of Creed, and now that's, like, your go-to cologne? Well, that's for a lot of reasons, first of all. One is because back then, I was buying, like, a new bottle of cologne every other month for, like, $60, and it ended up being a cologne that I didn't really like. And so I would have all these cologne that I didn't really like, and I thought, why am I buying all this cologne that I don't like, but I can't afford the one cologne I do like, when if I would stop buying all those other colognes, then I could put it together and buy this one cologne I liked, right? That was number one. Hold on a second. I'm going to change this battery before I get on the interstate, because I don't want to get on the interstate and then have to change this. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So that was the first thing, right? Well, not the very first thing, but it was one of the first things that I was like, you know, this is something that I want, and I am not going to not allow myself to have some things that I want in my life. And, you know, I wear it on special occasions. It's not like I just go on a daily basis. But I did start being very careful about the clones that I bought, you know? The other thing was, in the last year, I allowed myself to buy myself a couple things that I wanted. You know, I had said on here that I wanted a nice bag. I bought a nice bag. I had said I wanted a nice watch. I bought myself a nice watch. Those were a couple things that I had wanted in the last year. And I can remember talking to Tanya and Valerie. They both were like, Peter, you do so much for everybody else and buy all these things for everybody else. You deserve to get yourself a few things that you want to get as well. And I was like, you know, that's so true. And then what it made me realize when I did that was, as much as I love those things, they really didn't make any difference. They really didn't. These things I wanted, I mean, I liked them, you know, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have them. But what I realized was, it didn't really make any difference, you know? And so then what I realized was that buying gifts for myself is one way, but it's not always just buying gifts. It's like taking myself out to a lunch that I want to go, like to Ruth's Cafe by myself. I kind of love eating by myself sometimes, honestly, you know, or doing this girls trip with my friends, or, you know, going to the casino for a night, or, you know, like, if there's a day that I don't want to make videos, not making videos that day because I just want to sit and watch a movie or a TV show or listen to an audiobook. And it was all about starting to treat myself better and treat myself differently. And when I started doing that, I really started seeing myself as a human being. And, you know, I think before, I don't know that I felt like I was deserving of good things, you know? And, so, but I'm happy that I had to work through that. I really had to work through that. You know, and I think the other thing was, like, doing this huge inventory last summer. And no, working with a sponsor is not the end all of everything. I mean, I think counseling and all of that is vital as well, right? But doing this inventory with my sponsor this summer, doing inventory really does help a lot of things. And where I had all these situations in my life where I had resentments that went back 30 years, 40 years, you guys, you know, that I wasn't even really aware of those resentments, and I had all these fears and stuff. And when my sponsor and I would take each one and look at it directly, right? And then, you know, with the fears, you know, she would say, how are you managing that? How are you managing this? And, you know, really what I realized was the way that I managed my fears was just by pushing them down, that I didn't really allow myself to look at them, so the fears always existed. Well, we don't do that with people that we love. You know, with people that we love, we help them work through those things. We help them feel safe, not afraid. Well, I wasn't treating myself that way. You know, I was allowing myself to continue to just have these ridiculous fears all over the world. Hell, one of my fears on my fear list was fear of doing inventory, you know? And my sponsor said, well, how are you managing that? And I said, I just didn't do inventory until you finally, you know, said, we're going to do this inventory, or we're not going to continue to work together, because what's the point? You know, and so, but, you know, like, I mean, so that's one example. But then when I started looking at these resentments in my life that I had going back, you know, 30, 40 years of my life, some of them irrational, some of them not, and I looked at my part in that, and what I started realizing was that what stood between me and my own happiness was really what I could fix. It wasn't about controlling other people or change. I have no power over that. It was about what I could fix. It was about what wrongs could I make right. And it was about making amends to people and showing people that I have changed by my, you know, behaviors being consistent. And this is, you know, I am a different person than I used to be. And that, you know, learning from who I had been in the past and the mistakes that I had made and all of that. And all of that is treating myself better too, because then I had a better life as a result of that, you know? I had more peace and serenity as a result of that. And if you ask yourself, what do you want for somebody that you love? Well, I want them to be happy. I want them to be peaceful. I want them to be serene. I want them to be surrounded by people that love them. I want them to have everything in their life that they want, you know, and whatever else, you know, I want those people to be happy, joyous, and free. And then what I realized was that those were the same things I wanted for myself. So I had to start treating myself as I would treat anybody else in my life that I loved, you know? In a very similar way, one of the greatest lessons I ever learned in my life in the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years is that those things I want for myself, I have to want for people that I do not get along with, or people that I have resentments towards. Because if I have somebody that I have a resentment towards, and I have to tell you, today, I don't really have resentments towards anybody. I really don't. You know, if somebody else has a problem with me, that's their problem with me. Come to me and talk to me about it, and I will be totally open to having that conversation. Like, let's have that conversation, you know? If I'm aware of it, many times I've reached out to those people and, you know, said like, hey, let's have a conversation. But if I'm not aware of it, how am I supposed to know, right? But I really don't have resentments with anybody today, because I've worked through that, and I've gotten rid of the ones that I had and taken a look at them and made amends how I could and fixed what I needed to fix. And you know what? It's like, so when I started treating myself like I treated people that I loved in my life, right? My life started to change. It started to get so much better, because I was happy, joyous, and free, and I had that peace of mind, and I had that serenity in my life, you know? But I think things had to come into play, and things had to happen for that to get to that point, you know what I mean? And I think from doing the inventory, what I realized, like I said, is I can't change other people, places, and things, right? I can only control me, and you know, and clean up my side of the street. But, you know, I mean, if you're driving down the road and your side of the street is completely clogged and their side of the street is completely clogged, and you clean up your side of the street, you can keep on moving and keep on driving, right? So you can get going where you want to get going. So it's pretty powerful to clean up your side of the street and stay on that side of the street, you know? And I just realized that, like, I was complicating my life. I really was. And, you know, it was really like, you know, like, for example, okay, if somebody didn't like me because of something that I had said or done, instead of going to that person and saying, can you explain to me what it is that I did? Or, you know, like, if it was somebody that, because you know when people say, like, what other people think about it is none of my business, I believe that to some degree, right? But I'm talking about somebody in my life that would be close to me. And, like, let's say we had some kind of falling out or something had happened, right? Instead of me going to that person and saying, this is where self-love is important. Instead of me going to that person and saying, like, what did I do? Can you explain to me what I did and how can I make this right? Like, we're grown adults. Like, what can I do to show you or whatever, right? Like, in my head, what I would say, and to, like, my friends, what I would say, like, to Tanya or whatever is, well, I don't know that I would say it to my friends so much, but I think I, in my head, thought, that, like, I would buy into the illusion that I was a piece of crap. I would buy into that. I would believe that, right? So then it affirmed, well, of course they wouldn't like me, because why would they? Because I'm a piece of crap. But I don't believe that today, right? I believe that I am a beautiful human being, and I believe that I am worthy of love. And so if something like that happens today, I have no problem going to that person and saying, hey, what's going on here? Like, can we talk? Like, you're a human being, I'm a human being. Are we just angry? Like, is this just what's going on here? Did I do something to hurt your feelings? Like, what can I do to make this right? Right? Because, like, I don't want to feel that animosity and anger, and I know that that person doesn't probably want to feel that way. And when you do that, and when you are met with animosity, anger, and resentment, that's on them. That's their stuff, you know? And then say, well, hey, listen, if you want to come in, and don't get angry about it, but say to that other person, hey, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. I'm totally here, you know? Like, just let me know, whatever. Don't put a time limit on it and say, well, I came to you, and now it's, you know, you want to come to me 3 months later, and I'm not here to have that conversation. No, that's not how grown-ups play the game, okay? We say, okay, well, you work through your issues. Let's now have that conversation. Because I don't want any bitterness in my life. And I have to say, today, where I am at in my life, like, I can honestly say, I don't have really any animosity or anger towards anybody today, you know, and there are a few people out there that I have to say the prayer for the sick man for, okay, that I have to, like, see them as a sick person and realize that that's who they are, okay, and I have to pray for them on that, but I don't hate them, and I'm not angry at them, but they are also not in my life, and will never be in my life, probably, you know, but I don't hate them, and I'm not angry at them. And I think there has to become a point when you realize, like, it's like today, I don't really have any anger, resentment, animosity, or misery in my life, because I don't want it there. And that, I think, is the greatest gift I've given myself by loving myself. And anybody can do that, you know, anybody can, by just looking at these things in your life and saying, how can I rid myself of this resentment of, you know, these people that I have, you know, and whatever. And somebody, actually, I was talking about the forgiveness thing that Oprah talks about, and somebody named it on my vlog. I wish I could remember what the name of it is called. The contrition of forgiveness or something like that. It was interesting. I had never heard that before. But the idea that forgiveness is accepting that what happened happened, not that what happened was okay, but that it happened. And now what are you going to do so you are not held hostage to the events of the past? That's really powerful, because when you love yourself, what you realize is those situations, you are the one. It's not about forgiving somebody and forgetting, okay? I think we forget that sometimes. I have forgiven a lot of people that I do not want in my life. And people have forgiven me through the course of amends that they don't want me in their life either. And that is completely fine. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about not being ruled by what happened and forgiving them so that we can move on. We're the ones that, you know, learn through forgiveness. So it's powerful. That was a really good prompt. I like that. Hello. So anyway, okay. The next prompt is favorite romance movies. Romantical movies. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick a few out. I don't even know. God, so many movies that I love. Oh my God, I started talking about movies and I immediately started talking about a friend of mine, and I said their name because she and I always talk about movies, but anyway. Okay, speaking of romance movies, romantical movies, let's see. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. I was actually thinking of this movie because somebody tweeted out something to do with, like, give me a recommendation for a romance movie, and I was gonna respond to this, but I couldn't remember the name of the movie, but I think it's called In Time. Do you guys know the movie I'm talking about? It has the girl in it, I can't think of her name, that was in Mean Girls. She played Regina George. Anyway, and it's about a guy and his dad, and they can travel in time. Oh my God, that movie, so good. So good. So I would say that. I'm just going to tell you the ones that are in my head. Out of Africa. Meryl Streep and Robert Redford in that. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. When he dies and she reads that poem. My mom loved that poem. Robert Redford and Barbra Streisand in The Way We Were. Probably the most romantic movie of all time. I actually read the end of it in my mom's eulogy. I've been like wanting to find my mom, the eulogy that I read. I typed and wrote at my mom's funeral and read it in a video for my Peter Does Stuff channel, but I can't find it. I don't know where it was in a suit pocket that I wore to my mom's funeral, and now I don't know where I put that suit. Is that not so crazy? So that's In Time, Out of Africa, The Way We Were. What are other really, Wild at Heart, the David Lynch movie. So romantic. That's probably number 4. I don't even remember this movie really anymore, but I would say... You know, let's talk about a movie of love between friends that is not a romance movie, because I think sometimes, like, really true friendships are even more solid and mean more than romantic relationships. So I'm going to go with Thelma and Louise because it's one of my favorite movies of life, and I just think it's such a great movie. I think it's such a fantastic movie. So Thelma and Louise. Those are my 5 romantical movies of life. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, I don't know how long I've been vlogging. I think I started at what, 10:40? So not an hour, but close to an hour. It's so funny because this last week, like every day I've gotten up and I've been like, I'm not sure I'm going to film videos today. And then I'm like, video. And like today I filmed 2 drama videos. I was like, who knew? I didn't plan on doing that when I got up today, you know? And I've been having so much fun filming videos. And, but next weekend we'll be in Miami. So, I don't know. The weather doesn't look great for Miami next week. I mean, I'm happy to be in Miami and it's going to be, you know, 50 degrees warmer than it is here, but it doesn't, I'm not sure if it's like beach weather. Like Alex he'll go into the ocean no matter what, but I'm like, I am not convinced that it is beach weather. We'll see when we get there, I guess. I hope by the time that my girls' trip rolls around that it is beach weather. But anyway, we'll have fun next weekend anyway. We have reservations at a couple of really cool restaurants. And then like romantic dinners, and then just kind of hanging out and relaxing and stuff like that. It'll be fun. We'll probably do a Valentine's Day. Well, I know we're going to do a Valentine's Day Q&A. And, yeah. Dream, 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 dream. So, where am I at? Time. Well, you guys, you know what? I think I'm gonna stop now. I know this is a little shorter than usual. I think it's over 50 minutes, so isn't it? It has to be. So I think it's around something like 50 minutes. So I'm gonna make this a little shorter tonight. And because I'm literally, I think the casino is the next exit. I'm almost positive. It's the next exit or the exit after. So I'm gonna get off here. But if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 things. You can start your day over whenever you want. Practice random acts of kindness. And most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Very, very important. And I hope that you guys are relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed, and renewed. I usually do it in a different order. I usually say renewed, refreshed, rejuvenated, and relaxed for the week ahead. But I will say relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed, and renewed for the week ahead. And relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed, and relaxed, rejuvenated, renewed, and refreshed for the week ahead. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. And for those that need to hear it, and those that want to hear it, and those that just happen to stick around, one more. I try to remember to not scream at the end anymore. Okay. For those people that are asleep. One more. I'm talking to you in your sleep right now. One more, I love you. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Happy birthday, Lena. Bye. Bye. Love you. Love you. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you.